a permanent government job. The cream is the civil servant. Permanent job, job security, and also a misplaced sense of I will have power.
Talking about UPSC, we all know the numbers, how the funnel works, how difficult it is to become one, and people waste years after years, chasing that. How do you see that craze even today?
I think we have this mindset of a permanent government job, and it's at all levels. And in the pecking order, the cream is the civil servant. Right? So that then becomes an aspiration because you are permanent job, job security, and also a misplaced sense of I will have power. I'm firmly of the opinion if you follow rules and do your job as you're meant to do, you will never have power. It is only when you start dispensing that rule which otherwise needs to be just rolled out, that's when power actually comes in.
Very powerful.
Right? It's like a mirage. Permanent job, I will have power, so to speak, I will decide things, and that drives people. And I think it's the security and the permanency, apart from whatever else it offers, which is a large part of the chase. Because, once you're in what is called the system, it's the steel framework that runs the country, the governance, the systems, the structure, and you want to be a part of it, and that is the pull. And obviously it is very harsh, just like in any other competitive exam where slots are limited but the aspirants are many. And so automatically it will be harsh. You see, it's not the system that is harsh. I think it is the design of trying to get, access to limited seats by a huge bunch of people automatically creates the competition, automatically creates bad spaces where people then, I think also the other thing that really works, and you're saying UPSC, I think it stems back to our education system.
Correct.
Where you're always compared to the other person. So you're striving to beat the other person rather than focusing on yourself and saying, I need to excel. If I've done this time, I need to do this much better next time. No, I'm more worried about what did he do? How did he do it? Let me ask him. I need to do this better than him.
Right.
So that also creates its own stresses and strains. So I think it's the nature of the beast. Competitive exams by definition and by design will drive this behavior, will definitely have rejection patterns. It happens at school.
Correct.
Right? If there are kids who are doing very well, the teacher tends to be nice and promote those kids and can be quite harsh with those who are not performing, whereas some of them need to be handled better, because I've seen a lot of poor performers in regular schools who go out of the system and shine and flower and become brilliant because they have the space. Right? And I think critically what is missing is validation. You don't have to do the best to be validated.
Right.
If you've done 3 things out of 10 things well, you still need to be validated. And all of this then leads into this whole attitude of competition, attitude of rejection, and feeling dejected because you haven't been able to, achieve something. And sometimes I feel, okay, I haven't achieved it. I may have had a bad day. Because sometimes the best child who gets 100% all the time gets 60 because he's not feeling well. And it's one exam, and that is my problem, that one exam that defines the life of a person or a child, that one exam, that to me is a problem, because you can have a bad day.
Absolutely. And we are in one such space where, we talk to a lot of aspirants, people who have taken this particular exam. They get into B schools. Again, the competition is very fierce there. A lot of them tell that, I have had a stellar mark record, but on that day I could not perform. And that defined who I am as a student. And that's sad, because then that person has to wait another year to write that particular exam and get into it. And I have met a lot of these individuals who have been trying to do that with the UPSC examination, and then they thought that maybe it's taking a lot of toll on us and a lot of time from our growing up years. So it's better that we shift our focus. How do you see that shift when they make that decision that now I'm not going to pursue this further because I understood that it's a chase that probably I will not win, or I don't want to be part of? They deciding to do something else. Do you see that positively?
Of course, I see it positively. You can be brilliant and you will not make the cut. But it's also extremely addictive because you're always like, okay, it didn't happen this time. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. So
restart.
So then you kind of get stuck saying, yeah, I did this so well so far. I need to just up this game a little bit and maybe do it next time. And you look at somebody else you think is mentally not as bright as you are, and that person's made it. So like, if he's made it, why can't I make it again? That whole competition syndrome. And there are only a very few people who smartly decide, you know what, this is a mug's game. I've given it a shot. Now it isn't happening. Let me do something different. There are industries being churned out for these competitive exams, not just civil services, of all sorts. To me, that's the death of learning, and that is also where you make children feel inferior, you harden them, they start undervaluing themselves. I mean, it's a wretched space if you ask me.
Wow, that's very powerful. Related to this is something that I wanted to ask you, and there's a new film. I don't know whether you've watched 12 Fail or not.
Oh, I loved it. My God.
So again, there are two sides of it. One side of it says that you need to get up and you need to chase your dream, irrespective of whatever you are going through, and you have to restart. But a lot of these people who are restarting probably will never reach there, right? Even after 4th, 5th attempt, and then they have lost 5 years of their life, and then they are clueless as to what to do next, right? How do we then take a call? When do you take that call? How do you understand that probably this is not ideal for me to restart?
I just think that it depends on the individual more than anything else, because it's up to the individual to take that call that, I've tried thrice, I may have another 2 attempts, but there's a trend to this, and something I'm doing that isn't right. I've gone to all the training classes, I've taken all the coaching, I've taken the whole world's, versions of different responses to what I need to be answering during the exams, and I'm still not making it, right? It means either I'm not cut out for this, or there's something that I can't really place my finger on it. So it's best I step back while I can still cut my losses. And I haven't crossed, because here in India, employment is something that people look for. And also employers look at youngsters who've come in, 5 saal kuch nahi kiya isne.
Right.
What were you doing for 5 years? So we start tending to judge when you hit the employment market. Or alternatively, then people start looking at exploring other ways of entering the job market. So there are other less fiercely competitive exams. For instance, you have the subordinate service exams. You have a lot of non-competitive technical focused exam. They start exploring other options. There are others who step completely away and say, you know what, I'm out of this. Maybe I want to teach, or maybe I want to draw, or maybe I want to go up into the hills and do something different. Today, what really, really excites me is youngsters today are not bound and tied down by, oh, this is good and this is what I want to do. The way their minds are open, they are the true purveyors of the gig economy in its best sense, right? You have children who are like, I'm freelancing not because I can't get a job, but I prefer freelancing because it gives me more creative space. It allows me to think and strategize, whereas if I'm in an agency, I'm working till 4 in the morning, where's strategy, right? And it gives me the freedom that if I want to sit in Goa and work for 4 days, I can do that. I'm not bound by the tyranny of apply for leave, nobody's giving you leave, you're being guilted for leave. And I see these kids, they drop pretty what I would consider good jobs and get into this, I'm freelancing space, and me, civil servant, and naukri hona chahiye. I'm like, wow, I love you guys. But I think it's a very different way of approaching things.
Right.
So yes, there will still be that segment, and also a large part of it is driven by where you come from, your parents, your extended family, your surroundings, that will still definitely keep aspiring for the civil services. But having said that, I think children today are also looking out beyond. I mean, we put out a national education policy that focuses on holistic learning.
Yeah.
There's a need to intrinsically understand what holistic learning means, not just by the system,
Yeah.
but also by parents.
Correct.
Because a lot of times you keep blaming teachers, you keep blaming the government. It's the manic parent at the other end who's like, मेरे बच्चे को 100% क्यों नहीं मिला?
Correct.
Right. So I think everything balances. There will always be people who will want to be civil servants. There will always be people who will, get completely battered and shattered by the system. And it's very difficult to pick up those pieces because apart from you, your immediate surrounding doesn't forgive you either. They don't stop reminding you. If you have a parent who's like, तुम क्या कर लोगे 5 साल तो कुछ नहीं कर पाए, how are you ever going to get over it?
Right.
And how are you ever going to start valuing yourself and wanting to do something? If you have your extended family, your so-called support system, who should have been there to buoy you up, saying nalayak hai kuch nahi karta. So it's a very nuanced and complicated space, and there's no single answer to any of this.